Hello and welcome back to r/entitledparents. And if you're new here, I hope you enjoy.
My mother is holding my money hostage until I talk to her. I've made a post on here previously about how entitled and selfish my mother is. Since that post, numerous people have messaged and commented that I should cut ties with my mother. I'd honestly considered it for a long time, but always made excuses not to do it. After months of thinking it over, I had a handful of reasons to keep contact with her and a mountain of pain that she's caused over the years. So I decided to cut her out of my life. It's been 4 months now and I feel great. I didn't think it would create such a difference in my life, but oh my goodness. The thought of not having to hear her southern fake sweet grandma voice make racist homophobic comments about my friends or lecture me about wasting my life because I didn't live to her wishes makes me so elated beyond words. The only time it's not great is when my sisters message me saying, "So mum did this, insert shocking update of drama," and we all get annoyed at her new levels of entitlement and stupidity. Her current stupidity has us all fuming for different reasons. My mum never told her brothers or father that I cut her off. She probably didn't want to look like she failed at parenting, especially since she's the only one of her siblings to have ever had kids. So when they sent me the Christmas money to her and said to divide it amongst us 4 girls, including me, she never corrected them. Warning, math will be found in the next paragraph. Apologies, but it is accurate and it is important. Instead, she messaged my sisters and me, but I have her blocked, and asked them what they wanted for Christmas. We all know her game. Each family member sends $100 per child. 4 children with 3 gifts each means a total of $1,200 in her bank account. She never gave us the full amount of that money ever. What she would do is ask what we wanted, and either buy the cheapest version of it or buy what she thought we needed or would like, and never spend more than $20 per child. Meaning, she was given $1,200, spent $80 or less, and kept $1,120 or more every year. That woman is still in debt somehow. My sisters and I figured this out years ago and reasoned that while we were small children under her roof, that's fine. You need to house us, feed us, clothe us. Kids are expensive. But when we turned 16 and we were made to get a job and pay for our own phone bill, car payment, car insurance, groceries, clothes, etc. No, give us the money that was meant for us. So when she asks, "What do you girls want for Christmas?" we responded like we do every year, cash. She apparently tried to argue that 2020 had been hard for her and that she couldn't afford to give much this year. My sisters fired back with, "That's cool. What did our uncles and grandfather send you? If you don't remember, we can just call them and ask." That got her to begrudgingly admit what they had sent, and she said it will be deposited into our accounts soon. Then she ended it by saying that she wasn't going to send me my money, she was going to just hold on to it until I spoke to her again. My older sister blew up at her for this. Point blank told her that she was either being manipulative so that I would talk to her, or she was being a thief and trying to pocket someone else's money. My mum tried to ignore her, but my sister wouldn't let up on this. Eventually, my sister messaged me and told me what was going on. I was annoyed, but not that surprised by this. I had honestly forgotten all about receiving Christmas money. I expected a card or something, but was just going to send it back to them anyway, like I never received it. So really, she could have just sent me a check, and when I sent it back, she could have just pocketed it then. It would have saved everyone this mess. Realising that, when my sister asked what I wanted to do about this, I told her that while the money would help because 2020 has been hard financially, if she could somehow get the money from our mother, then she can just split it amongst her and my other sisters. I don't have a relationship with those family members anymore, and taking money from them, even if it was meant as a gift, seems wrong. My sister said she understood and would pass the message along, but oh my goodness, I am still annoyed that my mum is doing this. I feel like she's not trying to be a thief here, but more of a manipulator. When I cut ties with her and said my goodbyes in an email, she replied by saying that she would respect my wishes, but also told a story of how she cut out her mum when I was just a little gal, and months later, her mum shows up unannounced to my birthday party, and while they didn't speak during the party, they did talk afterwards. They reconciled and were very close until the day her mother died. I felt like that story was a giant red flag saying, I'll show up in your life when I want to, and you'll have to talk to me. Then you'll forgive me and we'll be mummy and daughter again. Heck no. Any attempts to manipulate me into talking to her is messed up and will not work. I feel like this is just the first of many attempts to come. But until I see a hard change in her, I refuse to let her back into my life. Sorry for the incredibly long story, wanted to post it here because reading a lot of these entitled parent stories are what helped me see how truly toxic my mother was, because she is so similar to the Karens in most of these stories. If you have a toxic parent, then please know that you can cut them out of your life and you should not let them back in, unless you feel ready to. Don't let them pull petty mess like this to make you talk to them. It's messed up. And giving them what they want will only encourage their poor behaviour. Thank you so much to OP for allowing me to narrate this story. As a lot of you know from the beginning, my first 100 subs, this is exactly the same reason I narrate these stories as well. And OP's story relates significantly to mine. Besides the 3 sisters or 4 sisters, I have 2 sisters. But yeah, wow, I felt like I was reading my own story there. Thank you, OP. On to our next story. Edit. Okay, wow. I was not expecting this much attention. Thank you all so much for all the rewards in the comments. Would like to reply to some questions and clarify some things that are brought up in the comments. 1. Since you're all adults now, why don't your uncles and grandfather just mail you the money to your own homes? They used to, but over the years I've moved a lot and my sisters have fallen on hard times where they have to frequently move back in with my parents or couch hop, so it became hard for extended family to even know what city we were living in. They eventually gave up and just started sending it to my mum again. Easier doing that than some random stranger getting a check meant for us and now having their bank information. Also, grandfather is in poor health and with no one else living near him and his medication not helping his mental state. He signed over power of attorney to my mum and now she plays with his bank account whenever she wants. 2. Tell your uncles and grandfather you aren't in contact with your mother anymore. I did consider this at first, and for 2 reasons I chose not to. 1 is that I've never had a relationship with them outside of her, meaning I only talked to them when we visited. No phone calls, no emails, no written letters. Literally did not acknowledge their existence unless made to be in the same room as them. The reason is that they're all entitled, homophobic, racist, full of themselves, religious nutbags that I want nothing to do with and haven't wanted a relationship with ever. But I've played nice because it was what she wanted. She's not in my life now, so I don't really care about them. 3. Tell your uncles and grandfather she's taking the money and not giving it to you and your sisters. They know. They don't care. They send it and write it off as, she's always been like that. And it's not our place to come between your dispute. Really? You give her gasoline and the lip match and then tell me it's not your fault she set herself on fire when you knew she would. Again, I don't care about these people and I don't care about cutting them out of my life. Why cut your mum out? I honestly had to rewrite this post 6 times because I kept catching myself going on a rant about what all she's put me through over the years. But the highlights are calling the cops on my dad repeatedly when she was losing a verbal dispute with him. He was 6'2" and she's 5'2". All she had to do was say he threatened her and they'd show up. Drove my dad crazy until he divorced her. She conned the courts into thinking he was an abusive mother so she could get custody. Alabama in the 90s wasn't hard to do that. My dad gets diagnosed with a terminal illness and is living off of a government aid because he's too sick to work. So she has him thrown in jail for not paying child support because his government aid isn't enough to cover it and his treatments. He died when I was 19 and she to this day speaks ill of him and blames all that's wrong in her life on him. I came out of the closet at 16 as bisexual and she backhanded me, called me a sinning harlot and put me in her version of Pray the Gay Away camp until it was deemed illegal to keep me out of school any longer. She told us after the divorce that she wouldn't remarry unless we approved of the man, but years later she brings a man home after their first date and immediately we don't like him. She ignores us and marries him 3 months later. He's been an abusive narcissist since day one and is now enabling her newfound drinking problem.